How are you guys doing? I still haven't managed to get very far in Perkea boat. In fact, I haven't read any since I did the other day. So now seems like a good time. Perkea boat 2-4. Rabban Gamliel used to say, "Do his will as though it were your own, so that he will do your will as though it were his own. Set aside your will in the face of his will, so that he may set aside the will of others for the sake of your will." Hillel said, "Do not separate yourself from the community. Do not trust in yourself until the day of your death. Do not judge your fellow man until you have reached his place. Do not say something that cannot be understood, trusting that in the end it will be understood. Say not, when I shall have leisure, I shall study, for perhaps you will not have leisure." That's not a whole lot of words. That's definitely a lot of wisdom and a lot a person can learn from. The thing that really, aside from the first couple lines of making his will your will, which is really crucial if a person really wants to do good and have blessings in the world and and in the world to come. But the thing that really stands out to me is something to focus on in Perkei Vote 2-4 is the never to trust in yourself until the day of your death. Because there are so many traps and pitfalls. I have an idea of one aspect of what the sages might be trying to convey with the what Rabban Gamliel or no Hillel is kind of hinting at with "Do not trust yourself until the day of your death." I'll have to go to the commentary to find out if my thinking is where it should be. Rambam comments that we have already made known in the fourth chapter that there is no reason to separate from the community except due to their dereliction, as we explained over there. And he said that even though a person has a distinctive character trait in his soul and he has strengthened it, he should not remove his hand from redoubling his doing good and adding to its reinforcement. And he should not be certain about it and say, "This virtue has already reached my hand. It is impossible that it will fall away." As it is, it is possible that it will fall away. And that is the meaning of his saying, "Until the day of your death." And that's kind of what I was thinking. But the I was thinking more along the lines of person should never trust their own inclinations or their own thinking, not unless it's in line with the Torah. And for that to truly happen, literally takes, an entire lifetime of diligent study and practice of, dot, of learning and intimately binding it to a person's own actions. I was thinking about, I was just thinking about you, Joshua. Well, did you catch the commentary of the Rambam? Like, even after a person has worked to perfect certain character traits, certain midot, or think that they've overcome or don't have challenges with certain desires for sin, whether they've been observant their whole life, or whether they're about tshuva. The English translation is not, leaves a lot to be lacking. It's translated as master of repentance, but repentance is only one step of teshuva. Repentance is, or teshuva is asking for forgiveness and atoning for the sin, both between man and God and man. And that person has to rectify and make whole as best they can whatever it is that they've transgressed, whether it's theft of property or money, or damaging someone's reputation. They have to do whatever they can to try to fix that. And if it's between man and God, to privately confess their sins, definitely not through another person, like a lot of people think. There's no man that can forgive another person's sins. At least not, not between man and God. And even between man and man, or person and person, a person still has to beg for forgiveness from God, because they, not only did they wrong another person, they also transgressed one of God's laws. But the other parts are to be ashamed and and feel bad. But first, the initial action, if it's like an ongoing thing, is to stop sinning, stop doing whatever it is. But if it's a one-time event, then just make the conscious thought and intent of effort to not do it again. But then a person has to, once they've stopped, and then once they've asked for forgiveness, made a tried to make amends, try to rectify the situation and say that they're sorry, and then ask for forgiveness to be sorry, in their heart, and then educate themselves, learn about the sin and its consequences, its punishments, and then build a fence. Whatever that takes for each person is going to be different. The person has to build a fence in order to ensure that they don't come close to transgressing those laws again, whatever it takes. When I first started watching my eyes, not looking at immodest things, there's just so much filth everywhere, even things that almost everyone doesn't acknowledge as filth. And for someone that's really been a disgusting person, like most people have, if a person really wants to go as far as they can to not have those kind of thoughts and the actions, even consciously unintentional as they may be, that are born out of those things, like the things a person sees or hears or smells, and then the things that they think in their head. It takes a drastic approach of building like an iron wall in order to have any hope that it's that they're going to have any kind of success. Either that, or pretty much shut off all contact with the outside world. The Gemara says that there's a story about I'm not sure if you're still here, but there was one thing that I did want to mention to you and whoever else that may hear about the comment that you made like I think it was yesterday, maybe one of the last streams about how you said you like my demeanor, the way about me, or something like that. And, I mean, that's fine. And I recognize or acknowledge that I'm generally a pretty soft-spoken and seemingly easygoing person, and don't really get fired up about a whole lot of things. At least not from the tone of my voice, anyway. But there's sometimes a person needs to kind of yell or talk loud, uh, to hammer a point home to wake people up. And it's it's something I have a hard time with, because the one of the things that Perkea Vote teaches that I haven't read, but I learned from watching a few series of lectures, is that when a person rebukes someone, like when they're trying to or teaches certain things, there's certain times where a person needs to get angry, or at least portray the sense of anger and intensity and severity, to convey how serious, a certain thing that they're discussing is, in order for people to wake up and have it impact their soul and break the rock that is their heart. So it's fine, but if the way that I talk or anyone else talks makes a person feel too comfortable to where all they do is listen, that's really not good. I mean, it's listening to something like this is always going to be better than not listening, and definitely better than 99 point whatever percent of anything else that's out there that a person could or does listen to or watch. But a person has to have da'at. They have to take what they learned, and they have to take it and apply it to their own life. Otherwise, it's almost better if they didn't learn at all. I know it's a slow process for a lot of people. It's hard to fight the Yetzer Hara. you just have to keep at it and just 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 keep praying for whatever it is that you need to fulfill His laws and do His will. Just keep learning and keep doing something. Whatever. Pick one small thing that you can change, and then just keep learning and keep applying bit by bit. And do everything you can to not listen to that voice in your head that tells you that you can don't have to be so serious or so stringent or so fanatical, because that's the Yetzer Hara, that's the Satan doing its job to put up resistance so people can earn the merit to have an eternity of good, so that we can all earn our bread. Because nothing is free. Everything good comes really hard, with a lot of toil and a lot of self-sacrifice, and usually quite a bit of suffering. I read something the other day about the Yetzer Hara when I was looking for something else. I didn't research the sources and don't remember where it was talking about it, but they said that everything God does is good. Even what He Himself calls Ra. I don't know, and probably can't pronounce the correct vocalization of the Resh Ayin. It looks like a backwards R and a backwards, not a backwards, but like a weird Y. But it's spelled right to left, so if you read it like left to right, it looks like a weird Y and a backwards R, like a lowercase R. Ra. I'm not even gonna try. Ra is evil. Thus, that's why Yetzer is inclination, or like what motivates a person, or in this case anyway. And the prefix of the ha is means the. That's the inclination of evil, Yetzer Hara, or inclination of the evil, or it's not really you can't really directly translate it like that, but that's basically what it is. But everything God makes is good. Everything He created, and one of the sages comes and says, of course, everything he makes is good, or everything he created is good because he's the ultimate good. But what's the source for why the Yetzer Hara is good? It says, I can't remember what the source in Bereshit is, but I think it's like fairly early in Bereshit 1, in Genesis 1, where God says, and he looked and saw that it was good. And they said that he was talking about creating the Yetzer Hara. Which is the Satan. It's all, he has all those jobs to get people to fulfill their own physical desires and not keep the Torah. But also, his job is the Malach HaMavet, the angel of death, is to remove people from the world whenever it's their time. And he is also the prosecutor in the Bet Din of Shemayim in the heavenly court. Another thing I read recently was I think it was in the same passage that I was reading, was the reason, how you can tell that the Yetzer Hara is good through your own sekel, or your intellect, your reasoning and deduction, is that without the Yetzer Hara, people wouldn't do anything. They would just they would just die. At the very least, if they didn't die from not eating or drinking, physically expiring, they would, peoplekind, mankind, people would, people would not be here, because no one would have the desire to procreate. And so people need the Yetzer Hara to in order to have the desire to eat, so that they can live, so the body can live, so that they can move around and physically do his will, perform mitzvot. And I remember hearing recently about, or a while back, that that's the only reason that there's any time, that time was invented, or not invented, but the time was put into creation as a phenomena, or an aspect of creation, was the only purpose was because when he wrote the Torah, there were certain mitzvot that were dependent upon time. like certain observance of certain holidays, observance of declaring the new month with the new moon. That's the only reason for the moon, and so that the Jews know when the Rosh Chodesh is the head of the new month. The stars have a kind of a dual purpose. One is to act as a kind of like pleasant scenery for people to look at, but more so as an analogy or a parable that God can use to show and prove to people at to his children of what they're like to him and what they will be like in the future in number. Because they're shining points of light, light to the nations, at least when they follow and fulfill his Torah. And like he said, that the descendants of Abraham will be as numerable as the stars in the heavens and the sand. And there's obviously not that many even people in the world right now, but the only God knows the number of souls that are the total number of souls. That's the thing about a soul is it's not just like a unit or an indivisible spiritual body. That's like a candle. A lot of people that I've heard, a lot of rabbis and sages use the word like split, like the soul gets split or a piece gets separated. But I don't know if that is probably an effective translation into English, but it's not really like that. It's like it kind of is, but it's more like the splitting of a cell. Like when a cell splits into two, the first cell doesn't lose anything. It's still the same size, but there's all of a sudden there's a second cell. And then, again, when it becomes 4 and 8 and 16, it's kind of like a combination of like cell division and what happens when you take light from a candle and you light another candle. It doesn't diminish the first candle. but still the same. You have two fires, so you can take the same candle and light 10 or 100 or 1,000 or a million other candles without diminishing the first. Other than the in the example of a candle, it's diminished by time, where a soul is not. I've been thinking about smells lately. Smells are said to be for one, very important, but they're the only sense that is still has any impact on the soul. And so the things a person smells are really impactful. They're one of the few senses that can take a person back in time in their memory. And definitely, the only other one I can think of that does is certain music, but not in the same way and as intense as that as a smell does. A person can smell a smell that they haven't smelled in 10, 20, 30, 50 years. Something that they smell when they were a child, and then all of a sudden instantly get a recollection of that time when they smell whatever it is that they're smelling. That's one of the reasons why the sages say that you're not supposed to study Torah somewhere that smells bad, because it affects the soul, as well as it's also kind of desecrating his Torah to be learning in a place that smells like smells horrible. That's why there's a halakha to not study in a bathroom, or to not think about Torah in a lavatory. When the Gemara was written, most places had like outhouses, like latrines, or outdoor trenches or holes, and you're definitely not supposed to learn or think about Torah when you're using the restroom. But the sages do say that there's a distinction. It's like there's a difference between like how most latrines are, or or outhouses or whatever, bathrooms, back then were compared, and they say if it's like the bathhouses of the Persians, it's not the same. Then it's a person's allowed to study, but only if it's in the bath area proper, or like in an area where there's not a toilet. Because even if it doesn't smell bad, it's still not appropriate. I think the bathhouses of the Persians were probably nicer than what most people, even in the Western world, have for a bathroom. And definitely a lot bigger, and enough space where they didn't have a toilet in the same room as the bathtub or shower. That's one of the hardest things that I struggle with is trying to shut my mind off from thinking about God and the Torah, and when I have to go into the bathroom for anything. When I learned about it, I started putting it into a practice to try to force my mind to think about mundane things. The Gemara says that that's the only reason for only reason that God created like mundane things, like you know uh, farming and architecture and science and different things like that. So a person would have something other than Torah to think about when they're in the lavatory. It's just so hard for me to do. Unless I like really focus and just like I guess that's definitely one thing I need to work on. That was definitely one benefit of working on filming and editing stupid videos and trying to make music was having something else to think about while I was in the bathroom. Rav Rubin said that he reads like history books when he's in the bathroom as a way to kind of fill the time and occupy his mind. I won't say what kind of history books because it will probably not be viewed well by by some people. Not anything like inappropriate for someone, by the Torah standards, but people get bent out of shape about certain subjects. Especially when they don't view them in the right perspective. when they don't have Jewish hashkafa. like like but like Rabbi Aaron Rubin said, it's every that's how every Jew should think, but it's really how everyone should think. For anyone that wants to align their way of thinking with the Torah. His Jewish Hashkafa series is based on him reading and commenting on the Chazon Ish. His book Emunah Bitachon, faith and trust. He starts off the book by going into how amazing everything in creation is, and how intricate and detailed all these miraculous inner workings of every single thing in creation, from bugs and animals to how everything interacts and works, and starts talking about the human body. And Rav Reuven talks about how amazing the human eye is. All these millions of cells for receptors of rods and cones, and there's like I forget how many millions of color receptors, and then there's like some crazy amount more of black and white receptors for when it becomes really dark, but there's still just enough light to see the iris opens and widens the pupil to let as much light in as possible. And all those like 100 million or so black and white receptors kind of come alive or start receiving and transferring information to the brain. And how a person could be so ignorant and arrogant to think that something so complex and so has so many inner workings that are still not understood, as far as people think that they've come with science, to not comprehend that there is a creator, and to think that it was all just some random pea soup science experiment from a mud puddle over what they think is billions of years. I mean, everything, every object in the world that's not natural has a creator. Everything from a stone tool to a spaceship or a supercomputer. There's some most people would say creator, but they aren't creators. They're all they do is form. There's only one creator. Everything else is formation. And like Rabbi Mizrahi says, everything, the more complex the creation, the more advanced and more intelligent the creator of whatever the creation is. Just like just like the person that made stone tools, or like the primates that pull like pieces of straw and fashion them into tools to like pull ants out of a hill to eat. That's like the very base low level of I'll just use the word creator, but that's not what they are. But to use an easily identifiable word, and then up to the person that makes a supercomputer, or the group of people that design and assemble a space shuttle. There's obviously a difference between the what most people think as early man, so to say, or a primate fashioning some crude tool, and a computer scientist or a designer, whatever, engineer, and a rocket scientist. There's obviously a vast difference. And when you look at the amazing inner workings of the human body, that people have, are just now starting to understand that they really don't know anything. But they understand that through finding all these new things, and at one point thinking they're getting close to knowing, and then with each discovery they realize that they really don't know anything, or in their own mind they think now we know, but we didn't know before. each step is the same process over and over again. So how could you not look at something like the eye, let alone the brain that has more storage ability and more advanced processing power than any computer or any array of server farms. Just the nerve connections in the brain alone amass to more than all the fiber optics and coaxial cables in the entire world. Like if they were all compared side by side, stretched out in single strands, the brain still has more miles and miles of connections and nerves and receptors, and I'm not sure what all the words are for them, but all these things are like things that scientists have discovered on their own. Looks like the screen is froze. Oh, hello. Not sure how long you've been here, or if you're still here. I think I'm gonna wrap it up soon. Your username is kind of funny. Like an oxymoron or something like that. There's no such thing as a neutral observation. At least not that I'm aware of. Definitely no neutral parties. Especially not these days. God is God's pushing everyone to make their choice. I was thinking about this earlier, but using the analogy of separating the wheat from the chaff. The harvest already happened, and not too many people realized it. We all find ourselves on the threshing floor. And pretty soon, everyone is going to be trampled underfoot or hoof or whatever. And then we'll all be tossed up, and the chaff will get blown away in a fierce hot wind. And for everyone that at least believes in a creator, in God, almost everyone that understands that concept, that isn't so delusional to think that everyone's going to go to heaven, or whatever people think or they want to call it. Everyone's going to end up in some fluffy cloud of paradise. For all the people that realize that that's not the case, there's a lot of them are deceived, and they won't be among the wheat that's kept. Not unless they see, when they hurry up and act on what they know, if they can take the truth into their hearts. I mean, if you really think about it, you know in your heart that it's not just for it to be that easy, and it's a lie. I mean, how could you possibly think that you would get an eternity of good for something so simple as Christianity? Islam's not that far off. I mean, it's definitely more challenging, but it's still not still not the truth. The Goyim can't observe any of the holidays. Least of all, not Pesach, but we can read the relevant passages in the Torah and see what he did. take that into our hearts that is the Creator, that is God, and no one and nothing else. I think it's Exodus 12 is the where it starts this week for before Pesach. I could be wrong. I can't recall. It's pretty much listed everywhere for the weekly Torah portion for this year. I usually just use Sefaria, SEFARIA.org. If you scroll to the bottom of the main page where all the texts are, it will list the weekly Torah portion or the reading. I know it's not listed in the readings for this week, but I also thought Devarim 8, Deuteronomy was also pretty relevant for people to really read it and no matter who they are. Read it and see. Regardless of whether they're a Jew that was there for the giving of the Torah, stuck as a slave to their own desires in Egypt and Mitzrayim, or whether they're a goy, because everyone has the tendency when things are good to forget his blessings and grow fat and proud and ungrateful. And because it is the way he made creation is nothing is immediate, or at least not most things. Because if they were, there would be no test to have faith and fear of heaven. Everyone, if every goy instantly, just his head fell off when he stole something, or every Jew was crushed by a rock when they lit fire on Shabbat. No one would transgress any of the laws. Everyone would have plenty of fear of heaven. So the punishments or corrections, or whatever a person wants to call them, consequences for breaking the laws of his creation, are slow to respond. And one of the reasons is for that is that when any bad thing befalls a person, when any struggle occurs, it's to make them, look at themselves and look at all their acts, at everything that they do, to keep a constant account of where they stand, so that they know. And that the key is to acknowledge those in the small inconveniences, and to constantly do teshuva for anything that a person finds that is not up to his standards. Because if a person doesn't recognize those small things that come all the time to a person's life, eventually they will get a big wake-up call. And if they continue to ignore them, eventually they just run out of chances. The vessel that is given to a person to contain all their sins gets full, and the vessel that holds all their merits runs out, and they just get plucked out. May He bless us all with the sight to see our own flaws, and with strength to do whatever we can to fix them, and realign ourselves whenever we stray from His path. And always have constant, real Yirat Shamayim. To burn the vision of Gehinnom in our soul, in our mind. Without that fear, no matter how much a person loves God, it's only a matter of time before they eventually screw up. A person can't fly without two wings. A person needs both love and fear of God. Otherwise, they plummet to the earth. Have a good night.